What if happiness wasn't about finding the one, crushing career goals, or chasing social approval? What if everything society told you about fulfillment was just wrong? Ticking off all those boxes, relationships, promotions, applause, won't fill the emptiness if you're always running on external validation. You've seen it. The perfect marriage with silent struggles, the successful CEO battling sleepless nights, the social media star drowning in loneliness. So what if the secret to happiness isn't out there, but in here? What if being alone wasn't a weakness, but a superpower? A chance to build a life so rich, so self-aligned, that every external milestone becomes a bonus, not a crutch? This isn't about cutting off the world. It's about showing up for yourself. Stick around. We're breaking down how you can be genuinely happy while being alone. The myth of social dependence. Society sold us a one-size-fits-all playbook for happiness, and it's making us miserable. The formula? Find the one, climb the corporate ladder, have kids, and rake in all the social approval you can get. Relationships, careers, family, and external validation are painted as the ultimate goalposts for fulfillment. But what happens when you tick all those boxes and still feel empty? That's the thing about chasing external milestones. They're like mirages in a desert. You reach one, and another pops up in the distance, promising to quench your thirst for happiness. But it's not the relationships, the career titles, or even the social applause that fills you up. It's what you bring to the table internally that matters. How often do we hear about people with picture-perfect lives who feel utterly lost? The celebrity with millions of fans battling loneliness. The couple in a perfect marriage quietly struggling with disconnection. The high achiever who lies awake at night wondering why success feels so hollow. These aren't outliers. They're proof that society's default script isn't the golden ticket to a meaningful life. The problem isn't that relationships or careers are bad. It's that we've been taught to depend on them for validation and worth. When everything you do hinges on someone else's approval or a title on your business card, your happiness is fragile. Relationships end, careers shift, social attention fades. What's left when the external scaffolding crumbles? So why aren't we taught to build happiness from within? Why aren't we taught that the most profound fulfillment comes from aligning your life with what truly lights you up? Not what society expects you to do? Only living for these external goals is like outsourcing your happiness. True contentment doesn't come from who you're with, what you've achieved, or what people think of you. It comes from embracing the unique person you are and learning to love your own company. Because when you can be happy alone, everything else becomes a bonus, not a necessity. The rise of loneliness. We're living in an era that's more connected than ever, and yet loneliness is skyrocketing. We can scroll through someone's entire life on social media, but how often do we sit down for a real soul-nourishing conversation? The irony's brutal. More tools for connection, less actual connection. Loneliness isn't just a personal issue, it's a cultural one. The decline of third spaces has left people stuck in a cycle of work and home, with little room for genuine community. Third spaces, places like libraries, parks, coffee shops, or hobby groups, used to be where people could meet, share ideas, and build a sense of belonging outside their immediate circles. But as society became more work-centric, these spaces shrank, leaving behind only the obligations of career and family. We've been conditioned to believe that our time should only revolve around productivity or social roles. If you're not spending time with your family, you're uncaring. If you're not grinding for a promotion, you're falling behind. But what about spending time doing something that doesn't fit neatly into those boxes? Something that feeds your soul instead of just ticking society's checklists. The loneliness epidemic is a wake-up call. Scientific studies have compared loneliness to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And while community and connection are crucial for well-being, we've been sold a very narrow definition of what connection looks like. Family relationships, marriages, and careers are treated as the ultimate cure-alls, but they're not the only way to find meaning. Happiness doesn't have to depend on how many people are in your life or how close you are to them. It can come from discovering a hobby that lights you up, immersing yourself in nature, or joining a group of strangers who share your passion for birdwatching, writing, or hiking. These experiences create a connection not just with others, but with yourself. The rise of loneliness is a sign that something's broken in how we approach fulfillment. It's time to stop seeing relationships or career success as the only roads to happiness. Instead, let's start exploring paths that are uniquely ours, paths that bring joy, meaning, and a sense of belonging to us personally. Because loneliness doesn't mean being alone. It means feeling disconnected from purpose and joy. And you have the power to reconnect and find happiness in being alone. The 5 columns of self-reliant happiness. When life feels off balance, it's usually because of the desperate need to find validation from all external sources. What if this balance didn't have to rely on external factors? What if happiness is something you can build, one column at a time, within yourself? Column 1, self-understanding. Most people define themselves by their roles, friend, partner, employee. But who are you when the titles fall away? Your sense of self isn't built on what you do for others. It's built on the experiences that leave an emotional mark. Start by reconnecting with yourself. Take a solo trip. Try something you've always been curious about but never made time for. Journal about emotional milestones, moments that shaped you, whether joyful or painful. These practices help you piece together a narrative of who you are beyond the expectations placed on you. When you know yourself deeply, you stop relying on others to reflect your worth. You start to see that your value isn't tied to how well you play a role, but how authentically you show up for yourself. Column 2, creating meaning. There's a special kind of joy that comes from making something that matters, something that lasts. This is generativity. Ever notice how fulfilled artists, writers, or volunteers often seem? It's not because they're surrounded by people all the time. It's because they're contributing to something bigger than themselves. For the artist, it's the magic of art. For the volunteer, it's the empowerment of a community. So pick up a creative hobby like painting, writing, or gardening, or volunteer for a cause that aligns with your values. These acts of creation and contribution bring a sense of purpose that relationships and careers alone can't provide. Some of the most inspiring people in history thrived in solitude because they used their time to create, innovate, and give back. It's not about isolating yourself. It's about finding fulfillment in the things that make your soul come alive. Column 3, physiology of peace. Happiness isn't just a mental game. It's a physiological one, too. Your brain chemistry plays a massive role in how content you feel. And the good news is you can influence it. Serotonin, the feel-good chemical, is deeply connected to peace and stability. Activities like meditation, regular exercise, and managing dopamine-driven behaviors help boost serotonin. Because these practices are all about you. They don't rely on external validation or other people. They're tools for cultivating joy from within. Spend 20 minutes meditating, take a walk in nature, or simply pause to focus on your breath. Notice how these small, intentional moments make you feel more grounded. Happiness isn't just an abstract concept. It's a chemical shift you can create by taking care of yourself. Column 4, redefining connection. Yes, this video is about finding happiness alone. But alone is when you're alone from the usual connections that you have on a day-to-day basis. This column is about finding communities and activities that resonate with you, not with society's expectations. It's finding groups and activities that resonate with your personal values, not obligations you have towards your social roles. Join a group or event where you don't know anyone yet. A book club, a local dance class, a hiking group. The key is to engage in spaces that feel like yours, not extensions of your family or workplace. These connections are about shared interests, not social obligations, and they remind you that belonging doesn't always mean being close to someone. Column 5, embracing life. True happiness isn't about chasing the next big thing. It's about appreciating where you are now. Reflection and acceptance are the unsung heroes of emotional well-being. Take time to reflect on your accomplishments, not just the big ones, but the small wins too. Allow yourself to grieve the opportunities you missed or the roads not taken, because denying those feelings only creates resistance. Here's an unconventional exercise for you. Write a goodbye will for your life as it is today. What truly matters to you? What do you want to leave behind? This practice forces you to confront your values and align your actions with them. The 5 columns of self-reliant happiness aren't about isolating yourself. They're about building a life so rich, meaningful, and aligned with who you are that happiness becomes your default state. Because when you can create joy from within, everything else becomes an enhancement, not a necessity. A bonus column. Our furry friends. Now, this is just a bonus that you can choose to follow only if you have the facilities to follow it. Animals are innocent and pure, so if you choose to bring a pet after this video, do it out of love, not out of expectation. Our little furry friends, whether it's the unconditional love of a dog, the calming purr of a cat, or even the quiet companionship of a goldfish, animals have an uncanny ability to fill emotional spaces we didn't even know were empty. They remind us that love and connection don't have to be complicated. They can be pure, instinctual, and wonderfully freeing. Science backs it up too. Studies show that petting an animal lowers cortisol levels, the stress hormone, while boosting oxytocin, the bonding hormone. So spending time with a pet can literally calm your nervous system and make you feel more connected, not to other people, but to the present moment. Pets don't care about your resume, your relationship status, or how many likes you got on Instagram. They just want your presence. They don't give you a role, they give you their attention. And that's why a pet doesn't fill the role of a traditional relationship. They don't judge you, argue with you, or set expectations. Instead, they offer companionship on your terms. Because pets love you for exactly who you are in the moment. They don't care if you're still in your pajamas or having a bad day. They're just happy to be with you. The best part about the companionship of animals is that it teaches you a kind of love that's freeing. It's not about obligation or reciprocity. It's about coexistence. Pets remind us that happiness can be simple, quiet, and entirely present. In solitude, furry friends can be your allies in discovering what it means to feel whole on your own. They don't replace human connections, but they add a layer of warmth, meaning, and connection that makes being alone feel a little less lonely and a lot more joyful. So the next time you're questioning whether happiness can truly be found in solitude, look into the eyes of a loyal dog or a curious cat and remember, love and joy often come in the simplest, most unexpected forms. So there it is. The secret to being happy alone is all about turning inward, learning to love your own company and building a life that feels meaningful from the inside out. Happiness isn't something you find in another person, a job title, or a fleeting moment of social validation. It's something you create every single day through intention, self-discovery, and aligning with what truly lights you up. Start small. Maybe it's a walk in nature, a quiet moment with your journal, or saying yes to that dance class you've been eyeing. Build your 5 columns, one choice at a time, and watch how your perspective shifts. And remember, being happy alone doesn't mean cutting off the world. It means showing up for yourself so fully that every connection, every milestone, and every interaction becomes a bonus, not a lifeline. Because you are already enough. You are already whole. Happiness isn't out there somewhere. It's been waiting inside you all along. And if you feel you're one of the people who's lonely, and this video made you gain perspective about how you can be happy, watch our video on how being lonely is actually an advantage you have over everyone else. Always remember, Habitual Harmony is here to help you create an abundant life.